Howdy, everyone. Welcome to the Fit, Healthy, and most of all, Happy podcast. I am your coach and host, Josh, here with
Coach Kyle, and I'm on the microphone.
And there's a reason this podcast is called the Fit, Healthy, Happy podcast. If you're looking to become fitter, healthier, and happier, you're in the right place. And we love these Thursday episodes because we can do a deep dive on one topic. And having undergone a really long road trip, lots of driving, a tough situation, as well as just vacations amongst other things, a question we get asked a lot is, how do you stay on track on vacation? What are the tips to do that? And too often I hear people say, I need to be really good before my vacation and I do everything, or I just want to let loose and I want to enjoy myself. But I can tell you, I've done it both ways. I've just enjoyed myself, gone off the deep end, spent a ton of money, ate a ton of food, lost a lot of progress. And I've also gone away and used these tips and actually seen progress, had balance, had support, still maintained a really amazing trip and felt better because of it. So we're really passionate about this. This is at the forefront of our mind, and I can't wait to help you have less anxiety about this, about going away, being on vacation, to be able to not feel miserable when you come back because you feel like you really let go of all that progress you made. But before we jump into today's episode, we just want to let you know that if you're looking for help in your journey, you're feeling stuck, whether it be with your nutrition, your training, your mindset, your goal setting, and you are just not able to get that goal, we want to help you through those bottlenecks using advanced strategies to get you better results faster. Also, you can rest easy knowing you're going to get one-on-one support and accountability from myself, Kyle, or one of our other coaches. You're going to get a community behind you, and together we cannot fail. So if you're looking to see real results and you're serious about getting there, it's time you make this investment in yourself. Go ahead and DM us on Instagram, the keyword help, to make that happen. Our Instagram is at ColossusFit, COLOSSUSFIT, with the keyword help. But now we're going to jump into our 7 tips to stay on track on vacation. What's number 1, Kyle?
Number 1 is have a plan. Honestly, I was inspired because Josh actually left a bit earlier than me, and he sent me a photo of his lunchbox that was packed with some protein snacks and just everything that you needed for a successful road trip. So I got inspired by that. I did the exact same thing. I messaged my buddies. I said, hey, pack some stuff, bring some good snacks, bring some healthy things, right? And it's all about being prepared, because I feel like so many times when people get into a situation where they're traveling, it's just everything's so last minute. You're obviously so focused on other things and where you're going. And of course that is super important, but I just think it's so important, even if you just like pre-log your calories for the day, like if you're just on the road and you kind of need to pre-plan those stops, or you have to look on Google Maps and see what the best option is, like having a plan and knowing roughly, like it's not going to be perfect. It's, the things will happen and the plan may change here and there, but having that rough tentative game plan is what is going to help you so much. And I find that the most successful people are the ones that look ahead, they plan, they prepare. And as I always say, fail to prepare, prepare to fail. So that's going to be number 1, plain and simple, is get ahead of it and be proactive versus being reactive.
Yeah, have a plan to make it easy on yourself. If you make it hard, you're going to do horrible. A while ago, if you've been listening to our podcast for a long time, me and Kyle were traveling somewhere and we were driving a really long time. We kind of knew what we were getting, but we started driving by all these different things, Taco Bell, Wendy's, and we could smell it. And we're like, oh, like if we were weaker right now, we'd be tempted by this. And it's so easy to get to that point where you've just been driving forever. You're at a gas station. You have to grab what's there. So you get a bag of chips and a candy bar. Like you're going to end up hurting yourself. Whereas if you pack, even for me, like I pre-prep my Greek yogurt breakfast. I had a really good filling breakfast. I didn't need to eat till lunch. I knew in that plan, oftentimes I like to stop at a Chipotle or a Chick-fil-A, something where I can really load up on a big meal, get lots of protein, and to really eliminate the snacking, because on a road trip in particular, snacking could be so tempting. Just the same with planes. Oftentimes it's hard to really bring on really good hearty meals, or the meals you get on the plane won't necessarily be of the best quality. So to me, having those big meals and being able to space that out and really prep a plan that works best for you and your schedule. And if you are a big snacker, by packing really healthy snacks that you like, maybe even spend a little bit more money and treat yourself to some of the stuff you don't always get. Things like jerky, different things along those lines, the better off you'll be. And the same with the protein. And the good news too, even for me, I'm like, if I'm in a car for like a ridiculous amount of time, I want to feel my best. I want to be eating good food. I don't want to be just eating food that makes me feel worse and greasy and sluggish, and really having that attitude and just saying, what else can you do to be prepared and plan? And a good pro hack tip with this is on Google Maps. I actually prefer to use Waze myself. I know that's a whole debate amongst its own thing, but on Google Maps in particular, as long as you're not plugged into CarPlay, you can put search along route. So what I oftentimes will do is put Chipotle or Chick-fil-A or anything healthy that you really enjoy that you're looking to find, and you can oftentimes find stuff that is a lot better than most options, like a McDonald's where you pull off the highway, but you can find things that are maybe a 3, 4, 5 minute detour, and you can really plan them on your trip. And even for me, I like this because it gives me something to look forward to. It breaks up the trip, and I just wanted to share that extra pro hack for number one. But number two, and this is a big one, is to go right to a grocery store pretty much as soon as you get there. It's hard, oftentimes is the last thing you want to do, but you can avoid a lot of temptation. You can avoid being over hungry and then just ending up eating whatever, door dashing a lot of food, and you can actually save a lot of money by doing this. So when I like to travel, a pro tip I will use is I'll always eat breakfast at home when I can, unless I'm going to a really cool place. The reason for that is I feel like when you're behind, it's really hard to get ahead. So by me having a really healthy, hearty, high protein breakfast, I'm able to really at least take control of that. And even if I have more exotic fun things for lunch and dinner, I'm already starting from a good point. Whereas if you're operating from a deficit, you've had no breakfast or you've had a really greasy breakfast, you're not only wasting money, but you're wasting calories. You're going to be behind on protein. Your energy is going to be low, and you're going to have less motivation to go about your day. So going to a grocery store and really surrounding yourself with healthy snacks, amazing options, familiar foods, to me, it's really exciting. And I find, even Kyle had mentioned, he went on a trip and he balled out a bit and he went to all these different restaurants, but you'll notice the exoticness of it wears after a while. If you're always going to sit-ins and you're kind of at like, oh, by the end of it, you're like, I just want to eat at home, and you spend all this money. So I find like balancing it, and maybe you're going out every night and that's something you don't normally do. Like, celebrate that fact and celebrate like really good, meaningful experiences. But by having at least good groceries around you, also you have more opportunity to say, okay, I'm going out and I'm having this really fun thing. Like Hattie B's in Nashville is one thing I always love when I'm in Nashville. It's like this really nice hot chicken, fried chicken place, and yes, there's protein, but it's fried, it's pretty caloric. In that case, oftentimes maybe early afternoon, I'd make a salad at home or a smoothie, or I'd have a big bowl of Greek yogurt. Having something that's going to make it easier for me to stay full and then really look forward to that time. And as you can see, you can still do all these things you love with no recourse. And to me, that's the best, like having your cake and eating it too, quite literally and figuratively, because by being able to do that, you can enjoy yourself, not feel miserable, have a ton of energy. And like I'm someone who's really passionate about this, because people say I don't want to think about that stuff, I want to let loose. But like, to me, taking care of yourself is self-love. By eating the best foods where you have energy, you feel good, your skin doesn't feel greasy and nasty, like, and you feel familiar and a routine, then you can enjoy being away that much more. And it's not just about like, I'm going to travel and I'm going to stuff my face. So I really recommend like trying these tips as we continue through, but we are really, really passionate about this one, and we love making these episodes when they have a lot of relevance in our life, because we like to give a lot of tips and hacks. And I love when people message me and they're like, I use this one thing you said and it changed everything for me. So something we're really passionate about. But that's number two. What's number three?
Yeah, number three is looking for solutions, not excuses. Just because you're traveling doesn't mean you can't get it done. And this is quoted from Coach Josh Wilkinson beside me, and I loved it because I was just like, man, that is so true. I was just like, there's so many things I could say right now. I'm like, I'm tired. Like, it was my first time even, fun fact, like driving from Toronto to Florida, like 24 hours around that. And I was just like, man, I'm tired. I'm whatever, I just didn't get as much sleep. It was hard to sleep in the car while my friends were driving. I was like, working off of number two, we are heading right to the grocery store. As soon as we get there, we'll get unpacked, we'll chill out, we're going there. Like, there's just no better feeling than being prepared, in my personal opinion, but also there's no worse feeling than just being underprepared, than having to wake up the next day and be like, where am I getting my breakfast, and where are these things? We needed a bunch of different things to make sure that we are successful to cook, to prepare, to have the right stuff available. And there's no room for excuses. And I really think that this entire episode, like, of course, if you're going to an all-inclusive, this is probably the one thing that will be more challenging. But I'd say for most people, and we always have to navigate with our clients and figure out, different travel situations for our clients' work. And fun things and family things and whatnot, but I'd say most of these are definitely very applicable. And honestly, even if you're going to see family, like sometimes people say, hey, I don't have the right stuff there. It's like, cool, well, we can still go out of our way to get the right stuff. And just when you look for those excuses and just be like, oh, well, I can't do it, which we'll jump into later on, it's going to be so hard. But if you're like, I'm going to find a solution, I'm going to stay on track, I'm still going to enjoy myself. Don't get me wrong. Like there's still plenty of ways you can enjoy yourself while still coming back and staying on track. Like the worst thing is when someone comes back and they're like, man, I just let loose. I didn't have fun because I let loose. I gained 10 pounds and I feel horrible. Now I'm starting over again. So that's our principle here, is like, we never want someone to just be like, well, I didn't get to do anything. Like that is not it at all. But our biggest thing, even with our coaching, is we find ways for you to stay on track, to incorporate fun foods, to have a great time, but at the same time to still feel great and reach your goals, which is very hard for a lot of people to do. But yeah, that's what we do. And that's number 3 for today.
Yeah, 2 things I'll say, and this will be some tough love here, but it's even just to be an adult in these situations. There's a reason I don't let my toddler just eat as much of the candy he wants. It's because he's going to get sick. He's going to feel miserable. It's horrible for him. It's easy for me to make that decision for him, but I know a lot of people that will do that with themselves. They'll overindulge so much, and then they'll be so miserable and so distraught about what they had done. And like it's easy to be in this world where it's like, well, why can't I just fully let go? But the reality is there's consequence, and you got to ask, is it worth the consequences? And there's a lot of different things we go into this, but we always like to say, like, enjoy. I had a nice slice of cheesecake the other day. I loved it. I didn't need to eat an entire cheesecake, but I really enjoyed that slice of cheesecake. Like, you don't need to always just be extraordinarily excessive. And just that concept, even to me, of like being adult, making adult decision, making good decisions for yourself. Like sometimes it's hard to think of, but it is definitely a game changer. And the second thing I'll say is there always is a solution. Even on an all-inclusive, I would challenge that individual to use tips we've shown previously. If there are vegetable options that are safe, that aren't going to get you food sick, start by filling up with those. Make sure you're having a lot of water. Really aim to have a lot of those protein sources first. Be moderate, of course, with like the more dense, I guess, carb sources after that. And then obviously be aware of like how many calories you can have for dessert. And even for me, I always like to say, like, food we have entire control over, because you may say, well, I don't. There's cooks, there's chefs, there's my family cooking, but only we put the food in our mouth. No one's spoon feeding us food. Like it's totally up to us. We can portion control, and it'll always be a push-pull. Maybe you'll go over your calories a bit, but you'll say, I normally eat 3,500. I'm okay eating up to 4,200 on this trip. Some days you want less, some days maybe you want more, like around that range. Then maybe other days your protein will be a little bit low, but you'll hit your calories. Like, take the wins you can get, and it doesn't need to be all or nothing. Like maybe it's impossible to hit your protein, but you can hit your calories. That's still progress. That's still something. And like, that's my point. You got to work with what's available to you. Play the cards you're dealt. That's something that I think is always applicable. And that's something I just wanted to add. Like, be that solution oriented individual. It's going to help you a lot. And then for the next one we have here, I mentioned this a bit before, but aim to eat bigger, healthier meals. I find it really simplifies it, drives the cost down. It kind of keeps things nice and easy. This is something I enjoy. If you do prefer a million smaller meals, definitely do the strategy that works for you. But I guess this is my episode here, so I'll share my tips. But I find that snacking is where I can go off the rails. I can always snack at home. A lot of the time, the snacks aren't too exotic to where you are. And instead, I really try to make meaningful time to go out to like good restaurants, have really good meals, and I really will use my calories intelligently with that. And the snacks I will have, I try to have as more protein dense snacks.
Awesome. Yeah. And one thing you'll notice is that we will always practice what we preach. Like when we say these things, we do them. Like we will never get up on camera, on our microphone and just say, hey, do all this stuff. And we don't do it. And even myself kind of working off of being solution oriented, like honestly, I did miss my protein recently. I was like, I think I was short by a little bit, but I just kind of sat down. I was like, man, it happens. Like we're human. And I just had to reflect and look back and be like, okay, I'm not going to miss twice. This next day, I'm going to hit it. I'm going to hit it even better than ever. And I'm going to get ahead of just this entire thing. And I think that's where some people struggle, is like, I'm not going to sit here and say there won't be a mistake. There won't be a day where you have to kind of navigate. But at the same time, it's like, if you continuously miss things, if you continuously just go off on the deep end, it's just, that's where you aren't going to succeed, unfortunately. And number 5, plain and simple, is just walking as much as you can. So obviously when traveling, there's so many amazing things to do, places to see. Obviously, you will likely have to Uber or whatever the situation is, but I really do challenge yourself to kind of look at the situation and see where you can walk around and just get some more steps in to just move more, right? And even for myself, kind of working off of number one is I did allocate some good walking into the entire drive. And I know not everyone's going to be doing road trips and everything like that, and there's going to be a lot of people incorporating flights and whatnot, but there's still so many amazing ways you can incorporate every one of these tips into your travels, into your vacation. But the more you walk, the more sights you get to see. And I find that's always the best way to see stuff. So I highly recommend walk as much as you can. And I get some messages from clients. They're like, I just did 30,000 steps. I'm in a new area, and it's awesome to see. So I highly recommend it, and it'll definitely pay off.
Yeah, I find it's the best way to see little parts of the area. It's easy to drive by things and miss it. When you're walking, you'll find some of the coolest shops. You'll really get to learn the layout of where you are, and it's something I really enjoy. My general rule is anything under 30 minutes, I just go on foot, and I think it's a lot of fun for me to go about it that way. And like I said, you can see a lot. So this is another thing I really love, and you can really jack up that activity. Like Kyle said, you can really have some more steps, and maybe if you are allowing yourself 500 more calories or whatever you're comfortable with, you can mitigate some of that and actually just really kind of use that as fuel, which can be fantastic. Then number 6 is really to find a gym for where you are. It's not always the easiest, but there's so many gyms now. Thankfully, working out has become really popular. So we're seeing gyms pop up like crazy. Most areas will have your favorite chains, and they'll have some really cool niche gyms. So you have a really cool opportunity to explore different gyms. So I was in Lakeland, Florida for a few days before coming here to Fort Lauderdale. And in Lakeland, there was this old school gym. It's one of the oldest, I guess, powerlifting gyms in Florida. The owner had told me. I found it was called like All American Pro Gym or something. Really dungeony, intense, old school place, but really fun, awesome environment to be in, especially for being somewhere else. And then I had to pay for that, of course. So I'm like, okay, I'll do a free one the next day. And I just did a Planet Fitness. Haven't been to one of those in a while, and it was fine. It is what it was. And it was good to be able to kind of do some different stuff, but you can always get creative. And I'm always like, I'm big on paying a little bit more to keep habits and do what's best for you. To me, going to the gym is like my time, my therapy, my time to do deep breathing, to relax, to think. Like, that's my time. And like, it's such a small component of my day. I can sneak away and do that before. Like in London, I would do it really, really early in the morning because it would kind of be like a weird time, and I could get that done before doing everything else. You could do it at night, you could do it in the day. It's totally up to you. But like keeping that habit, keeping that routine, and even just for me, like going through those motions just felt really good, and it felt familiar, and it actually gave me more energy to operate for the rest of the day. So you got to get creative, find those solutions, and make that investment. If that week passes a little bit more, if it's $50 or whatever it may be, you'll save some of that money using some of our other tips, and it'll all come around full circle.
And number 7 is just really, it's a mindset thing, like going in with a positive mindset that you will succeed and that you'll even come back better and stronger than ever. And the reason I say that is because that's my mindset. Like for us being here in Florida, obviously different situation, different living environment, different guests, the road trip, like lots of different stuff going on. As we are getting situated, it will get easier. But I find so many times people will go in with such a bad mindset that just, it's like, I can't succeed. There's no way I'm going to be able to do it. It's my busy season. I'm on the road a lot. I can list a million different things, but I even had to catch a friend recently who, said something, I guess you could say kind of similar. I said, dude, like you're already going in with the poor mindset. Like there are ways to succeed. And Josh started giving a bunch of these tips here that we're talking about, for that situation. But yeah, I honestly think that it's a mindset thing. And if you go in saying, hey, here's the ways to do it. Here's what I'm going to incorporate, here's my fun stuff. It doesn't have to be fully laid out, like I said, but 100% it's all about your mindset. And when you say, hey, I'm going to fail and it's going to be tough, then that's what's going to happen. But if you say, hey, I'm going to do the best I can, I'm going to prepare this and I will succeed, then you will succeed. So that's all I have to say for number 7.
So those are our top travel tips. Use these, and I promise you'll be so much happier, be able to enjoy these trips way more. You won't be scared about going into them or undoing all of your hard work. And once again, if you're looking for help in your journey and you want to get better results faster, guaranteed, we are one message away and we are ready to change your life. Go ahead and DM us on Instagram, the keyword help to @ColossusFit, COLOSSUSFIT. Thank you so much for tuning in with us today. We'll see you in the next episode. Peace out.